Good morning. It's 3 past 6. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL, and the KEEL app. Erin Local News is standing by.
The Pelicans bail on Shreveport. We'll have the latest on that. A mother starts a petition to get a strip club billboard down, and carrying guns in churches. Is it legal in Louisiana?
Wait a second. Are you telling me you expect me to believe that we're not getting the NBA G League team?
No, we're not.
Oh, man, how did we manage to blow that?
Don't know.
Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather. And it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The Pelicans bail on Shreveport. Matt Parker with the story.
Greg Bensel, VP of Communications for the New Orleans Pelicans, has announced that the organization is no longer interested in bringing their G League team to Shreveport. In a statement, Bensel said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to
Have led to additional casualties during a mass shooting at a South Texas church. Meantime, former State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed in Louisiana to let people carry weapons in church under certain circumstances. Usually churches are gun-free zones.
A gun-free zone is honored by people who honor the law. But if you have an issue, maybe some type of mental disturbance or some type of grudge or whatever, you don't follow that rule.
Burns says the priest or minister would have to give approval, then the person has to go through special training. The State Department of Education releases the annual school performance scores today, and this is the last time schools will be graded on a curve. President for the Council for a Better Louisiana, Barry Irwin, says it's time to go back to the system where grades really give a true reflection of the school's performance. He says the grading scale hasn't been as accurate over the last few years.
Because we've been going through a lot of things in our public education system with changing standards and changing tests, we kind of put a freeze on some of the changes that were taking place in letter grade.
A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Dr. Jeff Sato from LSUS is concerned with Louisiana's ever-growing problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. Tammy Lair of Minden has died in an early morning rollover on I-20. Troopers say Lair lost control of her pickup truck around 4 a.m. Monday morning and overturned on I-20 just west of Highway 371. A Louisiana homeowner who's accused of arming himself and chasing down high school students who were toilet papering homes has now been arrested in Mandeville. LSU football head coach Ed Orgeron says quarterback Danny Etling will remain the starting QB. The coach says despite some missed opportunities in the passing game against Alabama, Etling is the better option. In years past, LSU did not play well after Alabama. Orgeron expects his team will bounce back and give a great performance against Arkansas.
But I think this year is a little bit different because our guys are feeling good about themselves right now, although they lost. They're seeing we're building a championship team. I think they're hungry. I think they'll be hungry to go out to practice, and we're playing at home.
And it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Good morning. It's 9 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Traffic time. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got to clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Two of the sheriffs, local, both Caddo and Bossier, okay, Sheriff Prater and Sheriff Whittington immediately devised plans to string people because, you know, there's a lot of issues associated with having a gun, even in a security setting. And, of course, a gun-free zone is honored.
Good morning. It's 11 past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. In the wake of the Texas shooting, Sutherland Springs, Texas, on Sunday morning, I have seen so many articles, so many headlines, so many just stories. What can we do to protect churches? Should churches be armed? How can churches be kept safe? Well, in 2010, Louisiana, in 2010, then State Representative Henry Burns, it was H.R. 1272, and it was a bill passed, and it said that you can arm your churches. In fact, there's a website. Did I see the link? What's it called? Deacons? I'm totally serious. Deacons for Defense. And it's basically these church guys Well, that's what the bill calls for. It says with training, with the knowledge, with the okay of the pastor, the minister, the rabbi, you fill in the blank,
Yep.
that you can have armed security at your place of worship.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked Mr. Henry about that. Now, former Representative Henry Burns, the question was to start us off yesterday. This goes back to 2010. How did this come about? How did it get passed? What did you have to cajole anybody? Tell us the inside story.
Two of the sheriffs, local, both Caddo and Bossier, okay, Sheriff Prater and Sheriff Whittington immediately devised plans to train people because, you know, there's a lot of issues associated with having a gun, even in a security setting. And, of course, a gun-free zone is honored by people who honor the law. But if you have an issue, you know, maybe some type of mental disturbance or some type of grudge or whatever, you don't follow that rule. And so consequently, we have allowed churches to provide security programs where they have parishioners or members of the congregation who go out and train and learn how to safely guard, you know, the congregation.
Now,
And
this I don't want to say circumvented the current state law. It altered the state law that said you couldn't be armed in churches. What kind of training? Did this bill require?
Well, you know, it requires the ability to know, you know, because obviously, if you get into a gunfight, a lot of innocent people get killed. So what you do is you learn how to maneuver and get to isolate the villain that comes in with the gun, and, you know, plus just the fact that you remove the fact that your area is gun-free is pretty helpful in the sense is that now they know that they just can't have, you know, a full run if they come into the church. And like I say, Bossier and Caddo probably was two of the parishes that quickly responded to that particular law. And I think at one time, because it was a few years ago, that at one time it was their number one training initiative for both parishes in terms of numbers of people who were being trained and selected from the different churches to provide that rule.
Former State Representative Henry Burns, let me ask you, if there's a church member listening right now that says, how do I go about doing this? What do they have to do? Contact their sheriffs?
Now, actually, and this is what caused it to pass, I think, whoever the ministry is or in charge of the church has to know that, you know, and approve of it. So it actually has to have approval of the either the priest or the minister to be able to go get that training and provide that service.
But then you go to your sheriff's office to get the training.
That's right, and they do a great job. I just can't say enough about the two sheriffs, how they very quickly initiated the program and how efficient. And I know they train many dozens of parishioners and church members and congregants to provide that ministry.
Mr. Henry, based on the texts and the messages that we've received this morning, evidently there are a lot more churches with armed security certainly more than I expected. And I'm thinking probably there's a lot more armed people in churches than the congregants, than the parishioners would know. You're not surprised at that in this day and age, are you?
No, I'm not. And let me just say this. I'm just tickled to death because when I would talk to maybe a minister or a priest or something that didn't want to do that, I said, well, if you'll just do me a favor, don't brag about not doing it so that you become a target. And you wouldn't believe how they went, you know, that makes sense. So, you know, I'm not saying that every church does it, but I think most, you know, take advantage of the fact that maybe their church next door does it, maybe their church doesn't. And like you said, there are a number of people, I'm sure, that are legal gun owners that, you know, might have one with them. So.
On the other hand, you know, you see the little marquees, you see the little signs out front of the churches. And I got to tell you, Henry, if the churches with armed security armed ushers inside. If there was a sign outside that said, there's 2 or 3 guys in here with a gun, that might save some lives. You know what I mean?
Oh, hey, no question about it. In fact, like I said, those that opposed it, when I mentioned, that used the phrase, well, don't brag about not doing it. In other words, don't publicize that you don't, because then you make, you make your church a target because they know they won't have resistance.
19 past 6 o'clock, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. It's time for traffic. Ruben's here.
It is the best time of day to get where you're going because everything is all clear for your early morning drive to work or school. But look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today. Not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler. Low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
20 past 6 o'clock, time for sports. Timmy.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. LSU Shreveport led wire to wire in a 102-80 win over top-ranked Texas Wesleyan last night in Fort Worth. Senior Stevie Clark had a career-high 38 points to lead the local crew past the defending NAIA champs. Kyle Blankenship's team improved to 2-0 with the win. It was an exhibition to raise money for Hurricane Harvey victims, but it sure seemed real to former Bossier Bearcat Jalen West. In his 7th year of eligibility after knee injuries eliminated the past 2 years of play, West led Northwestern State with 20 points in a 92-85 win over Grambling State at Grambling. Fellow Bossier alum Devontae Hall drained a 3 with just about 2 minutes left to open a 4-point lead, and the Demons held on. Northwestern State opens the regular season on Friday in Austin against Shaka Smart's Texas Longhorns. Detroit had little trouble dispatching Green Bay last night in Monday Night Football, 30-17. Matthew Stafford led the Lions with 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. By the way, he now has 200 career passing touchdowns, the 4th youngest in NFL history to reach that milestone. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
What you doing down there?
I'm working on some of the National Night Out winners. They've announced the winning neighborhoods.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, 623. What? We didn't get the G League team?
No, we didn't. No.
I can't believe that.
No, they're going somewhere else.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't feel welcome.
What happened? I thought we had it.
No.
We let it slip through our indifferent little fingers. What's the story? What's the latest? I saw the post yesterday that the announcement came out of from the National Basketball Association saying, well, the G League actually, the Gatorade League, what used to be known as the D League or Developmental League.
Right.
Every time we would say minor league, the mayor would correct me, but it really is. Not that that's a bad thing. So
they're investigating other cities. They haven't said they're choosing Pensacola. They're just investigating other cities, and Shreveport has been eliminated.
Well, I thought Pensacola were the only. I thought it was Shreveport and Pensacola. What happened down there? I know they had sort of a bond issue deal, similar to the way that our city council voted here on to allocate the money or to borrow the money to do the bond. I know they had sort of that with a public referendum in Pensacola. So, but I don't know. Honestly, once that ceased to be a story here, to me it sort of ceased to be a story.
Yeah, their election, I think their election's coming up this weekend or next, I'm not sure, in Pensacola, whether or not they're going to build that arena they were thinking about. But I don't know if they've...
What do you do if just nobody wants you? I mean, what if, or at least under the terms that you are, look, it's going to be Tom Benson, the Benson family, the owner of the Pelicans, the owner of the G League team, whatever city, whatever nickname, moniker it may end up with.
Right.
Benson is, as you pointed out in a great post not so long ago, and his modus operandi is the same not only in New Orleans. Well, you remember about the deal, so to speak. A deal for who? It's a deal for him.
Yeah.
That he has with the city of the state of Louisiana.
He's in fact, he's the only team that the state pays him to play in their arena. Most other teams pay for their facility.
As part of the deal with the state of Louisiana, part of the deal is the state of Louisiana rents X amount of office space, an agreed upon amount of office space from the Benson Corporation. And some of that's empty.
Yeah.
It would be like it's Erin, to do business with you, I'll rent 2 apartments from you.
Right.
Now there's only me, so I'll live in one, and the other will remain vacant. But I want to do business with you that bad.
Yeah.
Evidently, to keep the Saints in New Orleans, that was what they were willing to do.
Absolutely.
And people forget how close the Saints came to moving to. Do you remember pre-Katrina?
Oh, yeah, San Antonio was wooing
They
them.
were getting ready to go to San Antonio.
Yep. We've kept them, but...
At what cost?
For how long? I don't know. There's always those wiggle times.
So the point being that when he wanted to build the arena here, when Mayor Ali wanted to build the arena here, we would have picked up 100% of the freight for Benson. And from what I can tell from the Pensacola deal, they're doing the same thing there.
Right.
That he don't pay.
Yeah.
He does not pay. And wherever he can find a spot. Look, he's not paying for the Superdome.
No.
He's not paying for the Smoothie King Center.
They say we have moved on and are talking to other cities.
Other cities?
It says cities.
Other suckers.
Ooh. Yow.
The reason we didn't get that team, and I will believe this forever, was not because there was some social media misinformation campaign. My sense always was everybody that told me why they didn't think it was a good idea, from other people in politics to Joe and Josephine on the street, was we really probably shouldn't borrow $30 million to build an arena.
Yeah.
That was the reason they gave. What was misinformation about that?
I don't think anything.
I think people had a lot better handle on the situation on what was called for to get the team here than they were getting credit for at the time.
I think truthfully, if I'm a
betting woman, which you're not.
Which I'm not.
Of course not.
No. The arena price tag would have ballooned out of control, upwards of $50 million. We'd have been holding the bag. The first year or two might have been good attendance, might have been great. But after that, it would have become a fairgrounds field. And it would have been a big blister.
What's that old In Living Color?
On the bottom of our foot.
What's that old In Living Color? Homie, don't play. Was that from In Living Color?
Yes.
Yeah.
Benson, don't pay. 628, 1017 FM, 710 Keel, coming up at about 7:40 this morning. State Senator Greg Tarver. What's the latest, the BRF and the university health, and what's the latest there?
He's got a lot to say about that after all those documents were released. And just after 7 o'clock, Scott Hughes is going to join us, and we're going to talk about the mayor's race and our unscientific poll.
Well, as I said yesterday, folks, the last scientific poll we saw, just to lend a little credence to your unscientific survey, the last scientific poll we had, Hillary was ahead by 10. 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Erin, local news is up next. Right now, here's Ruben.
It is the best time of day to get where you're going because everything is all clear for your early morning drive to work or school. But look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Not as warm today. Clouds, some sun, and a stray shower. High 75. Cooler with plenty of clouds tonight. Low 53. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
For the second night in a row, community members gathering in Sutherland Springs, Texas to honor the victims of Sunday's church shooting.
We pray healing in the name of Jesus. We pray comfort in the name of Jesus.
Several victims still critical. At least 26 people are dead. Meantime, former State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed in Louisiana to let some people carry guns in churches.
We have allowed churches to provide security programs where they have parishioners or members of the congregation who go out and train and learn how to safely guard, the congregation.
The pastor of the church does have to sign off on the plan before it's allowed. The Pelicans bail out on Shreveport. Greg Benson, the VP of Communications for the Pelicans, has announced the organization is no longer interested in bringing their minor league club to town. In a statement, Benson said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to other cities." A Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. Matt Parker has that.
James Durham has been arrested in Houston, Texas, and returned to Bossier Parish on the charge of molestation and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Durham is accused of inappropriate contact with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old girl. He is being held on a $300,000 bond. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
A mother starts a petition to remove a strip club billboard. Stephanie Giddens has started her online petition to have a billboard advertising an adult film actress appearance at the Hustler Club removed. So far, about 5,000 people have signed the petition. Giddens says the billboard shows the woman suggestively licking cake from her finger, and the image, she says, is inappropriate for children. A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Dr. Jeffrey Sato from LSUS is concerned with our ever-growing problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. The state also near the top in HIV numbers. Sato says the rise in STD rates is not an economic issue or race issue as much as a moral one. Tammy Lair of Minden has died in an early morning rollover wreck on I-20. Troopers say Lair lost control of her pickup around 4 a.m. Monday and overturned on the interstate just west of Highway 371. Lair was not wearing a seatbelt and died at the scene. Troopers are still investigating. The State Department of Education releases the annual school performance scores today, and this is the last time schools will be graded on a curve. President for the Council for a Better Louisiana, Barry Irwin, says with the new grading system, students are going to have to move up to higher proficiency levels to keep the scores that they were getting before.
Before we said basic was okay. That was average. That was at grade level. Now we're saying basic is really not at grade level because it's not. And because it's not, we're not going to give you as many points as we did before.
The Energy Information Administration says October gas consumption the highest in month-to-month numbers since '06, which is why there's been a slight increase in prices. AAA fuel analyst Don Redmond believes the warm fall has led to more people driving, increasing the demand for fuel.
Also has some of those related activities that are actually still related to the storms, where people are traveling back and forth, helping out with the recovery in Florida and Texas.
Redmond says Louisiana prices are the sixth lowest in the nation, with an average of $2.26 a gallon. President Trump says North Korea will be front and center in his talks with South Korea's leader. Trump is meeting with the South Korean president at Blue House today. On North Korea, Mr. Trump says hopefully something's going to be very successfully worked out on that. LSU coach Ed Orgeron says quarterback Danny Etling will remain the starter. Coach O says despite some missed opportunities in the passing game against Alabama, Etling is the better option over freshman Miles Brennan to achieve a 10-win season.
Miles would have to beat Danny out on a play-by-play basis in practice. He'd have to play better than he would in the game. He hasn't done that yet. I would not give Miles a starting quarterback job just to get ready for next year. We got a lot of things to play for. We're thinking of one game at a time, and we want to have a very good year. For right now, Danny's our quarterback.
The next up for the Tigers, Arkansas at home in Baton Rouge, 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
I got to ask. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin, 637.
You always scare me when you say that.
No. I got a lot of stuff to scare you with today, but this ain't it.
Oh, boy.
Wait, I just said I could. So Coach O and the staff have decided that Danny Etling is the best bet against Arkansas. I mean, not to denigrate, not to be,
Arkansas sucks,
not to
okay?
disrespect Arkansas, but
disrespect them.
you would be a pretty good bet against Arkansas.
Yeah, pretty much.
Under center, Erin McCarty. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a poor choice of words, and I apologize.
Whoa.
But the point being, they've decided that Danny E is the guy. What do you think about that? Now, I heard Coach, or it was in your story, how LSU is still focused on a 10-win season. Is that what you had?
Yeah.
Okay, so they'd finish the regular season like at 9-3.
Right.
And then go to a bowl game and win. That's how they'd get to 10-3, right?
Sure.
Okay. So what do you think based on Edling's performance? Now, admittedly, Alabama is one of the best defenses in the country.
Cream of the crop, you bet.
But I think if you watched, look, if I'm Arkansas and I watch film of that game, I'm going to blitz Danny Etling on every play.
Oh, absolutely. I'm coming after his booty.
Literally. Or I'm going to put a 9-man front, have 2 defensive backs, and say, go ahead, throw it over me if you can. Because there's not a shred, there's not an iota, as my Nana used to say, an iota of evidence to make me believe you can throw the ball 40 yards downfield.
Right.
So I've asked you 100 questions. What do you think?
I like Miles Brennan, but he's not ready. He's just not ready. So you got to go with Danny. I mean, you got to go with Danny. Miles is just not, and why he put him in that drive in the Alabama game, why he put Brennan in, I'll never understand that. And
Whose call
Tiger fans are going crazy over that.
Whose call do you think that was?
It had to be the coach. I'm sure that Canada said no. We gotta make a drive here.
And you think that was a bad move?
Bad move. Oh, and Tiger fans are going crazy in the blogs about that. Like, what the heck were they thinking? You're at the 5-yard line. You're on 5.
You're down by 2 scores, and you haven't moved the ball the whole game. I'm thinking they went to Miles Brennan late. I don't think they shouldn't have gone to him at all.
Well, not in that kind of a pressure situation.
What kind of pressure?
He's on his own 5.
You're 2 scores down with 3 minutes left in the game.
You got 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. There's no chance this kid's going to come in and save the day.
Then what's the pressure?
Because he's nervous. He's on the road in Alabama. It's Tuscaloosa.
Hey,
it's the crowd.
That's going to be his job next year. Maybe they had no shot at winning. They weren't moving the ball. How about you give him a little experience where maybe he knows what to expect next
That's
year.
the only thing I could think of. I was like, they wanted to get him in this pressure situation, in this hostile crowd, and really let him have it.
For a little while, and we'll talk about this more in the 7 o'clock hour, I promise, but I want you just to think about the possibility that they didn't think about the possibility that maybe they should have gone with Brennan at the end of the 3rd quarter. In other words, maybe they went with Etling just a little too long.
I think you're missing the point. LSU, they had more yards than Alabama. We were in the game. We dropped some big balls that were not Danny Etling's fault.
At what point?
We let Alabama steal a ball out of our arms. That wasn't Danny Etling's fault.
At what point in that game did you really think LSU had a chance?
Up until they put Brennan in. Up until that moment, I thought, they've given up. I was like, Matt, they've given up. They're just going to let him get a few touches.
639, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. We were in it until they went with the kid.
Yeah.
10 points down.
Yeah, they suck.
Traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Airline Drive near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Not as warm today. Clouds, some sun, and a stray shower. High 75. Cooler with plenty of clouds tonight. Low 53. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Why is he going to go crazy?
Because it's stupid.
He has
I'll
an
answer
issue
that.
with. There's a billboard on the interstate.
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, the Keel app's a free download from Office Furniture Source.
It's a billboard for the Hustler Club, and it shows one of their stars. She's kind of got her tongue out. And there's been a petition started that the billboard's not appropriate. It should be taken down. 5,000 folks have signed the billboard. And Matt's big issue is, why aren't you people screaming when these Chippendale billboards go up in the G-strings and the banana hammocks and all that? Why aren't people screaming when those are up?
Let's not ask. I'm not sure that Matt... Okay, what we're talking about is a billboard for a strip club that has an adult film actress. Her name is Rachel Starr, with her mouth open and her tongue out in a very suggestive way.
You bet.
So,
and I don't want to talk to the guys. I don't want to talk to men about this. I want to talk to women. In a Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Spacey. Well, he doesn't really fall into that category, but in the world as it exists today, where you have sat in that chair, and you and I discussed this, where you have said that Harvey Weinstein made women his victims, made women his objects. Somebody said to me a couple of days ago, it was an awesome line. They said, if you ever look at the cover of Playboy magazine, the very first one with Marilyn Monroe, Playboy, entertainment for men. And the question was, women, is that what you want to be? Entertainment for men? So let's look at this in a bit of a grander scale. You who have worked with abused women, with sexually, I don't even want to get into the terminology. Do you see that maybe, not only in a moral sense, not only in, but is that really the image you want to have as people? You talk about the lights being out all the time. Lights, is that the way we want to present our city? You're coming into Shreveport and the lights are out.
Yep.
You're coming into Shreveport and there's an ad for a porn star who's going to be dancing downtown. Is that really what you want people to see? As a woman who has helped women.
Of course, I think it's distasteful. But you also have to fight on the other side, too. The half-naked men in the G-strings, you have to scream about those, too. Because that's offensive, too, when you can see all the junk in those little banana hammocks they wear.
Okay.
And we don't need those billboards up, either.
Okay.
That's embarrassing. If I had two little boys in the car, they'd be like, ugh.
Let's focus on the issue at hand.
Yep.
As a woman, how do you feel about that? Entertainment for Playboy magazine.
I think it's distasteful. I do think it's distasteful.
Would you sign her petition?
Yeah, I probably would.
Parky, you evidently would not. Tell me
Hell
why.
no. Well, other than the fact that there's all these offensive billboards all over the place, and this is probably the least offensive one I've seen in the area as far as adult entertainment. It's literally a headshot with a woman licking cake batter off of her finger. You got the Chippendale ads, some of the more, mail the reviews, the thunder from down under.
The Men of LeBaire, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, it literally says Rachel Starr, Hustler Club, downtown Shreveport with the address. Those have not only suggestive images, but more suggestive images, I might add. But the phrasing and the terminology on it's absolutely horrible. Then you get into the whole, if we start censoring the way businesses can advertise, where do we stop?
We censor the way businesses can advertise all the time.
Yeah. What, the tobacco industry? I mean, that is...
Well, on television. I mean, the networks turn ads away constantly. Look at what was the one, the hamburger ad. You know what? Put up a poll. Put up a poll at keelnews.com.
Okay.
With a picture, can you find a photo of the somewhat offensive billboard?
Oh, of course, we have it on our website, keelnews.com.
Put up a poll and let's see what people think between now, or you can text us
on
the Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884.
Do you think this billboard should be removed? Do you think?
Reasons aside, it can be reasons of morality. It can be reasons of gender objectivity. It can be reasons of, you're coming into downtown. Is that really what you want? Is that the way you want to present yourself to folks entering your city? It'll be up on the website. Erin works fast.
Yeah.
Because she does at KEELnews.com. 648, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. When we have Senator Greg Tarver on next hour, is it anything new, or is he going to say BRF needs to go? They owe $14 million.
He's going to focus on some of the new documents that have been released, because we got a whole treasure trove of documents that were released last week.
If you could sum that up in 30 seconds.
Oh, he's still going to say the same stuff.
That's what I thought. And it's 710.
We're going to have Scott Hughes talking about the Shreveport mayor's race. We're less than a year out. Our unscientific poll. What does he think about it?
Who's leading your unscientific poll?
Stephen Jackson's still in the lead.
Still ahead. We will review that in just a couple of seconds. 649. It's 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. And it's Wednesday doing Tuesday morning traffic. Ruben's here.
It is the best time of day to get where you're going because everything is all clear for your early morning drive to work or school. But look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROW.
KEELAccuWeather.com forecast kind of cloudy and humid and warm again today. Middle 70s, chilly tonight, middle 50s. Right now 66 at KEEL. 650, your money now. 66 at KEEL. 650, your money now.
I'm Jennifer Kashicka with your money now.
I'm coming. 652. Sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. LSU Shreveport led wire to wire in a 102-80 win over top-ranked Texas Wesleyan last night in Fort Worth. Senior Stevie Clark had a career-high 38 points to lead the local crew past the defending NAIA champs. Kyle Blankenship's team improved to 2-0 with the win. It was an exhibition to raise money for Hurricane Harvey victims, but it sure seemed real to former Bossier Bearcat Jalen West. In his 7th year of eligibility after knee injuries eliminated the past 2 years of play, West led Northwestern State with 20 points in a 92-85 win over Grambling State at Grambling. Fellow Bossier alum Devontae Hall drained a three with just about 2 minutes left to open a 4-point lead, and the Demons held on. Northwestern State opens the regular season on Friday in Austin against Shaka Smart's Texas Longhorns. Detroit had little trouble dispatching Green Bay last night in Monday Night Football, 30-17. Matthew Stafford led the Lions with 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. By the way, he now has 200 career passing touchdowns, the 4th youngest in NFL history to reach that milestone. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
You are working feverishly on that post, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I am.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Robert and Erin. Hustler Club billboard.
Mm-hmm.
Heading into downtown. Little girl on the cover going, la, 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 or however you want to do it.
She's licking icing off of her finger.
Yeah, okay. And
Yeah.
a cigar's just a cigar there, Freud. The point being, there is a movement afoot saying that might be a little tasteless, a little tacky. Maybe it should be moved. Maybe it should be taken down. So the poll is going up now. Should be there about, what, 7 to 7:10?
Yeah, 5 minutes or so.
On
something
the
like
Keel
that.
website at 710keel.com. I'm just listening to you hit the keys.
Yeah, okay. That's
No,
okay.
look, if you listen, honestly, if you listen to Rush, specifically on our AM signal because of the audio processing, sometimes when he pauses, you can hear his printer in the background, you can hear his computer work, you can hear all sorts of stuff. There's sort of, what kind of noise am I talking about? Not superfluous noise. What am I thinking, Matt?
Background?
Background noise?
No, there's another word for it, but it eludes me because I have the headphones on.
I don't know.
The point being, you just keep right on doing what you're doing. The fact that you are able to compartmentalize to, okay, now you're overdoing it.
I typed
There's a
What? I was just typing.
Oh, okay. You were
she's
just to make the noise.
She's taken back on the role of Sakiyaki Weenie Boy.
Whoa!
Holy cow. 656, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
The mayor's race, Scott Hughes, a political watchdog. I want to see what he thinks about our unscientific poll.
It's as scientific as anybody else's.
Yeah.
I'm standing up for you all the way on
About
this one.
1,000 votes so far.
656 right now. Rush Limbaugh. Morning stuff here on Keel.
On the morning of November 8th, 1 year ago, liberals were giddy with anticipation. Everything pointed toward victory. The polls and the big data showed Hillary Clinton winning in a big landslide. The day began with predictions that Trump's presidential perspirations were doomed. His chances of reaching the Oval Office said to be between 7 and 29%. In addition to breaking a so-called glass ceiling, Hillary Clinton's election meant Barack Obama's legacy was safe. President Hillary would keep her promise to protect it. Yes, the morning of November 8th, 1 year ago, was a good one for liberal Democrats. On the evening of November 8th, 1 year ago, there was an air of happy confidence. Throughout the drive-by media, as the polls began to close, it was obvious. The stories were already written. The coverage had been mapped out in advance. Media liberals were thrilled. Their unrelenting pounding of Donald Trump was about to pay off. Some establishment Republicans were also giddy. The never-Trumpers, their hatred of the outsider, would be vindicated. And even if it meant an election loss, their hold on the party would remain intact. At 2:40 a.m. the morning of November 9th, 1 year ago, it was all over. The giddiness collapsed into waves of despondency, tears, gloom, and anger. A year later, the fury remains. The rest of the country, however, was celebrating. A year later, we still are. Thank you, Russians. Hey, you know that big credit bureau data breach that made the news recently? It may cause you some concern. Are you worried that you're one of the 145 million people whose identity may have been compromised? Freezing your credit may not be enough, folks. That doesn't prevent your personal information from being sold on the dark web. But LifeLock can help. They will monitor your personal information and alert you to suspicious activity. If you have a problem with identity theft, one of their U.S.-based restoration specialists will work to fix it. Now, of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock's the best at it. Call 800-440-4833 or go to lifelock.com right now, and you can save 10% off if you use the promo code RUSH. That's 800-440-4833 or lifelock.com. Make sure to use the promo code RUSH.
Starting to see some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway and Linwood Avenue. And those school zone lights are on and the school buses are out. Please use caution when driving around the school zones. If you have anything to report to us, let us know at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
7, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty down yonder. Miss Erin has local news, and she's getting ready now.
A petition to remove a billboard. We'll have more on that. The Pelicans remove themselves from Shreveport competition. We'll talk about that, too. And the state's education department has a website you might want to know about.
Okay, just about 10 minutes away, political analyst Scott Hughes. Is it too early to handicap the Shreveport mayor's race?
And who got left out?
At 7:40, Senator Greg Tarver wants to talk about BRF and University Hospital and just all the new revelations in the document dump of about a week ago. Fletcher in sports, traffic, and weather, and it's all here this hour coming up on Keel.
The Keel Morning Report, now on 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
The Pelicans bail on Shreveport. Greg Bensel, the VP of Communications for the Pelicans, announcing the organization is no longer interested in bringing their G League team to town. He said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to other cities." Tammy Lair of Mendon dies in an early morning crash Monday morning about 4 a.m. It happened on I-20 near Highway 371. Lair was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash and died at the scene. Former State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed in Louisiana to let some people carry guns in churches. He says these folks do have to get special training.
If you get into a gunfight, a lot of innocent people get killed. So what you do is you learn how to maneuver and get to isolate the villain that comes in with the gun, and plus just the fact that you remove the fact that your area is gun free is pretty helpful.
The pastor of the church does have to sign off on the plan before it's allowed. A Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. James Durham has been arrested in Houston and returned to our area on the charges of molestation and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Durham's accused of inappropriate contact with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old girl. He's being held on a $300,000 bond. A mom starts a petition to remove a strip club billboard. Matt Parker has that.
Stephanie Giddens has started an online petition to have a billboard advertising adult film actress Rachel Starr's appearance at the Hustler Club in Shreveport removed. So far, over 5,000 people have signed the petition. Giddens says the billboard shows Starr suggestively licking cake from her finger, and the image is inappropriate for children. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Dr. Jeffrey Sato from LSUS is concerned with our ever-growing problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. The state also near the top in HIV. He says the rise in STD rates is not an economic issue or race issue as much as a moral one. He says local leaders need to preach chastity and respect for others. Sato also says law enforcement needs to do a better job cracking down on prostitution and sex trafficking. The state's education department developed a website to help parents decide the best K-12 public school for their youngster. The site, louisianaschools.com, launches today. Director of Family and Education Communications, Annie Morrison, says families can find information about all traditional public schools in the state, along with
everyone from your really small mom and pop daycares to your Head Start programs and your pre-K centers in our traditional elementary public schools.
Facts on charter, magnet, and scholarship schools are also available on the website. Morrison says this online tool will be helpful for parents in providing a more comprehensive look at Louisiana schools. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Traffic update for Tuesday. Here's Ruben.
Starting to see some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive near Southfield Road. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today. Not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler. Low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
This is Michael Medved.
Good morning. It's 12 past 7 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Don't forget the KEEL app from Office Furniture Source is a free download. As Erin says, it's awesome. Well, maybe it's me. Political analyst Scott Hughes is here for a little bit. Hey, Mr. Scott, how are you today?
Good morning, Robert and Erin.
Erin's all proud of herself. She's got the poll up. It's a year away from the Shreveport mayoral election, which You know, you start and think about it, stop and think about it. The year will go by exceedingly fast. But is it too early to start talking about how things may shape up for who will be the next boss of the city?
Well, I don't think it's too early to start to talk about how they're going to shape up. Talking about who's going to win is a different issue. The first thing we have to know is who's going to run. And I think that's where all the speculation is, Robert. People are looking at names and they're playing what if. We likely have not even seen half the field yet in terms of real names.
When she listed her potential candidates in her poll online at KEELnews.com, she started basically with every city council person except James Fleury.
No, he's in there.
You put Fleury in there, too?
Yeah, he's in there. They're all in there.
If there's one guy who's not going to run, it's
I
Fleury.
know.
Are there any city council people that start with that list, sans Fleury, who you think out of the box would be the front runner?
Well, I think out of the box probably is going to be Bradford or Bowman. Bowman is the one that most folks have felt has the best chance to run for mayor. I think he's got some political baggage in many different compartments, but from the council, I think it's Bowman. I don't think you're going to see any of the white council persons run at this point. And when you look at the African American council persons, Bradford and Stephanie Lynch and Bowman, I think Bowman's the one that would be the most electable at this time.
Do you see one or two council members actually running? Most of them in my contact with them about whether they wanted to be included said, that's really interesting. I'm not interested, but put me in there just in case.
Well, I really don't see any of the council persons running. The two I think that would have appeal. We just talked about Bowman, because I think he has some appeal through his mother's legacy and through some politics he could put together. Jeff Everson's the other one people have talked about, a white candidate from the council that could possibly have some crossover African American vote, given he represented the swing district, District B. But I don't think Everson's going to run. I don't think he's electable. This may be a year where I don't think you get a person elected from the city council.
You saw my list. You saw the poll numbers so far. Who's missing from the list, Scott? Somebody texted me that Jim Talaferro was interested. I personally had a conversation with Liz Swain, who told me not interested. Don't even think about it. Who else is missing? Who should be included when I do a new one in December?
Well, you're not going to like my answer, Erin, but I think the person missing is the winner. I don't think the winner's on the list.
Wow.
I think when you look at the list, the only takeaway that I get from the list, the two biggest vote getters, they get almost 60% combined, are Stephen Jackson and Jeff Everson. And what I take away from that is people want somebody new. The Shreveport has a long history, with very few exceptions, of the person that wins mayor has served on the city council. One of the few exceptions was was Ollie Tyler to come along. There's been one or two others, but we almost always look for a council person. I don't think the person's coming off the council. I really think that the way the voter electorate is today in Shreveport, that it is prime for a candidate we don't even know about yet to rise up. A Victoria Provenza type candidate. I'm not saying it's Victoria, but
Jim Talaferro type? A Jim Talaferro type, or is he too far on the right?
Well, Jim may be a little too far right. The issue with the Shreveport mayor's race is you really have to look at a white candidate that can carry most of the white vote and then be attractive and get 20% crossover African-American vote, or an African-American candidate that can win in the primary, get on the ballot, be one of the two persons, and then be able to carry most of the black vote on the runoff day and have some crossover white vote. And that's where, I think Talaferro could run well in the white community. I don't know what his crossover appeal would be.
Mr. Scott, we've been talking about this for 5 minutes now. And the name Ollie Tyler has yet to be mentioned. In fact, you just said a couple of seconds ago, I think the voters are looking for someone new. In your opinion, what is the status of the current mayor, and what will that status be in 12 months?
I really don't think she's even going to run, personally. I think your poll, that would be a great example to look at your poll. I checked it when I was traveling yesterday. It had over 900 responses, and she's polling less than 5%. That is not a good number for an incumbent. That's a number that says don't even run.
Why do you?
A number that says don't even run?
Well, when you're put up against 12 other names, and basically 96% of the people say they would prefer someone other than the known incumbent, I think that speaks to people want somebody new.
What's her biggest problem? If you had to point to it, what would you tell her? What her biggest problem is?
Well, I think her biggest problem is, number one, she inherited some problems. But after a while, you can't blame the previous administration. She hasn't handled them well. We still are mudding through the water and sewer. We still are dealing with crime issues, and crime is funny, but you're the leader, and unfortunately, results get tagged on the leader. And so the crime situation in Shreveport is being pinned on this administration. I think that they just sort of have a aura of a netness around them. The whole debacle around the development and the D-League basketball team, that didn't help their image, because in the end they walked away, although they may be better off not having gotten it, but they walked away a loser on that project.
Mr. Scott, we had Jerry Bowman on last week. We had Stephanie Lynch on last week. Bowman said in the mayoral race next year, he said the number one issue will be crime, law and order, etc. Stephanie Lynch said no way that it will be jobs and the economy. Your thoughts on both of those?
I think they're both correct. I think you're looking at that is the mayor's race. And, the two are directly linked. The reason we're having more and more crime is because we're not producing jobs. We're not producing hope where people feel they can raise a family and pay their bills. And so that's leading to crime. But you'll see both of those, and it depends what community you're talking to. I think a large part of the community right now, crime is the number one issue. You see it every night on social media. Social media has put a magnifying glass on the crime taking place. But the underlying cause and what people are looking at, do I want to continue to live in Shreveport, is jobs. I can live through a crime wave. I can't live through not making income.
Scott Hughes, local political consultant and watchdog. Hope you'll join us. Hope you'll join us in studio. We're going to do a new one in December. Maybe you can help me put it up.
Be glad to. I'm glad to be back in town, and thank you all for trying to make the voters aware a year out that there will be a mayor's race. This one's going to be important.
Thanks.
Great stuff, Mr. Scott. Thank you. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic time. Here's Ruben.
Starting to see some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive near Southfield Road. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is
Netness around them, the whole debacle around the development and the D-League basketball administration. She hasn't handled them well. We still are. Well, I think her biggest problem is, number one, she inherited some problems.
Basically, 96% of the people say they would prefer someone other than the known incumbent. I think that speaks to people want somebody new.
What's her?
Well, when you're put up against 12 other names, and basically 9.
Well, a number that says don't even run?
That is not a good number for an. And basically 96% of the people say they would prefer someone other than the known incumbent. I think that speaks to people want somebody new.
What's her biggest problem? If you had to.
Basically 96% of the people say they would prefer someone other than the known incumbent. I think that speaks to people want somebody new. Well, I think her biggest problem is, number one, she inherited some. She hasn't handled them well. We still are mudding through the. Still are. I think that they just sort of have a aura of ineptness, ineptness around the D-League basketball. That didn't help their image because in the end they walked away. Although they may be better off not having gotten it, but they walked away.
Bowman said in the mayoral race.
You're out of bumper music.
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert is scratching his butt. Oh, you're done. Okay. There you are. Are you okay? Got to turn on your mic.
What did you just say?
He's acting like you. What the hell is going on?
He's not paying attention.
1017 FM 710. I was looking
We
for a
already
news
did that.
story. We've got Greg Tarver in about 20 minutes.
Can we repeat that? That was fun.
I had decided off the air.
Yeah.
Not to bring this up on the air. What you did during your top of the hour newscast, of which you were wholly unaware. And Matt said, don't do it. But because...
Did I do something bad again, like Satan?
But because of your...
Similar.
Yes, exactly. But because of your lashing out at me just seconds ago...
You're going to go for it?
I am, in fact, not only going to point out to you,
Did I
but to
screw
the
up?
entire listening audience.
Please.
When you were doing the story about the G League team making a decision, the Pelicans have decided Shreveport is out of the running. You had the story.
Yeah.
In fact, you have the story in front of you from 7 o'clock?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, just read it to me sentence by sentence.
The Pelicans bail on Shreveport. Greg Bensel, the VP of Communications for the Pelicans, announced the organization is no longer interested in bringing their G League team to town.
You didn't say that.
What'd I say?
You said G-string team.
I did not say G-string team.
Because we had just been talking about the Hustler billboard.
Did I really?
And you said G-string.
Somebody find that on a recording.
I can do that as soon as we go to break.
I did not say G-string team.
Parky, what do you think, buddy?
We're going to bet on this?
What do you mean bet? It's.
I did not call it the G-string team.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Who did? Ask Matt.
Did I really, Matt?
I hate to say that Bob's right. Because Bob's a pain in the rear.
Speaking of, it's at keelnews.com. You have a poll that is up.
Let's see how it's doing.
If you don't know the story, there are a number of people who are petitioning. Who exactly do you petition if you want a billboard removed? Is it Lamar? Is it one of the outdoor companies? I don't know whose board it is.
I don't know.
Or who you would say, we dislike that. Have you thought about taking it down? But in fact, there's a couple. There's one on I-20 and there's one on North Market, I guess. And it's for the Downtown Hustler Club. And it promotes adult film actress Rachel Starr, who is coming to town soon as a dancer. And it has a picture of the aforementioned Ms. Starr in a very suggestive pose with her mouth and tongue. That cannot be denied.
Right.
So you've got a poll up. What does it say?
It
Read
says,
the article. Go ahead.
Do you think this billboard should be removed? It's got a photo of the billboard with an X across it from change.org. So far, it just hit. So far, 66% say yes, it should be removed, while 33% say no.
Gotcha.
So it's only got a handful of votes, a dozen or so votes right now, but it's just starting to pick up.
Who is the young lady who is leading? You had it in the news also. Who is the young lady, and does she have an organization that she fronts? Or is this just like a mom somewhere who's saying, I'm driving with the kids, and that's I'm not sure that paints our city in the most positive light as you're coming to town. Much in the same way, and I'll point this out again. All the times you said you're coming from the airport down I-20, downtown Shreveport, doesn't look good if the lights are out. Does it look any better if we have this great big billboard?
Yeah. Well, Stephanie Giddens is the one who started the online petition. She wants it removed. Right now, I just checked, and she's closing in on 6,000 people who've signed the petition. And who she presents it to, I'm not sure, because I think there are two billboards out there. One's on I-20, another on North Market.
Did you, on your post, the one you put up with the poll, did you put a link to her petition also?
Yes, I put a link to her petition. I also put a link to our original story.
You didn't miss a trick, did you?
No, it's all up there, so you can hit it all. And if you want to sign her petition, you can do it. If you just want to enter our poll, you can do that. Either
29
way.
past 7 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Senator Greg Tarver talks BRF and the new documents and the hospital, university, hell, and all, whatever Mr. Greg wants to talk about. But I got a feeling the number 14 million will come up somewhere. Right now, traffic update. Here's Ruben. He's on KEEL.
Just received reports of an accident on I-20 eastbound near Traffic Street. And we're looking at some traffic delays on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Not as warm today. Clouds, some sun, and a stray shower. High 75. Cooler with plenty of clouds tonight. Low 53. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Officials in Texas say the Sutherland Springs shooter had 3 gunshot wounds, 2 from an armed citizen who chased him off, but the third?
The third gunshot wound was to the head, the one that was self-inflicted.
Freeman Martin with the Texas Department of Public Safety confirming the suspect took his own life. Now, former Louisiana State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed to let some people carry guns in churches. He says these folks do have to get special training.
When I would talk to maybe a minister or a priest or something that didn't want to do that, I said, well, if you'll just do me a favor, don't brag about not doing it so that you become a target. And you wouldn't believe how they went, that makes sense.
The gunman who killed 26 people at a small Texas church was able to buy his guns because the Air Force did not submit his criminal history to the FBI as required by military rules. From politics, we've done a poll on the Shreveport mayor's race at KEELnews.com. More than 1,000 people have voted so far. Stephen Jackson, the commission president, leads. Jeff Everson second. Oliver Jenkins is third. Ollie Tyler, the current mayor, polling at just 4.6%. Local political watchdog Scott Hughes telling Keel News the numbers don't look good for the incumbent.
Basically, 96% of the people say they would prefer someone other than the known incumbent. I think that speaks to people want somebody new.
The election is less than 1 year away. The New Orleans Pelicans are bailing out on our community. Greg Bensel, the VP of Communications, announcing the organization is no longer interested in bringing their G League team to town. In a statement, Bensel said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to other cities." A mother starts a petition to remove a strip club billboard. Stephanie Giddens has started her online petition to have the billboard advertising an adult film actress's appearance at the Hustler Club removed. So far, nearly 6,000 people have signed that petition. You can get details and take our poll online right now at KEELnews.com. A Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. James Durham arrested in Houston and returned to Bossier Parish on the charges of molestation and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Durham's accused of inappropriate contact with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old girl. A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Matt Parker with that.
Dr. Jeff Sato from LSUS is concerned with Louisiana's ever-growing STD problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. The state is also near the top in HIV infections. Sato says that the rise in STD rates isn't an economic issue or race issue as much as a moral one. He says local leaders need to preach chastity and respect for others. Sato also says law enforcement needs to do a better job cracking down on prostitution and sex trafficking. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
LSU coach Ed Orgeron says quarterback Danny Etling will remain the starter. Now, LSU plays Arkansas Saturday after losing to Alabama by 2 touchdowns. But Coach O says he doesn't see a wide talent gap between the Tigers and the Tide.
I feel with another recruiting class that we're going to be very close to where we want to get. I think the year 2019 is one of the best years in Louisiana. That's when we're going to have our best recruiting class. And we're building a championship program here, and I think everybody can see it.
The kickoff Saturday is at 11 a.m. You can hear the game on 11:30, The Tiger. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
Arquitect's foot and ankle specialist is excited.
It is 7:35. Robert J. Wright and cute and cuddly, to use her own phraseology, Erin McCarty.
Lies.
101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
They just say lies.
You had a
People
story.
love me. You love me or hate me. That's the way it is. Sorry.
I bet there's more in one
there
camp than the
are
other.
not more haters than lovers. I promise
I'll
you.
decide at some point in the future.
Hey, there's a
It's only been
Shreveport
20 years.
text line.
I have a question because you had the story about standardized tests in the state. They're going to stop grading on the curve.
Yep, this is the last hurrah.
What difference does it make?
Well, we're gonna have a lot more failing schools is what's gonna happen.
But
then the state could take over these schools. That's the ultimate.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that.
You know,
Because
if your school fails for so long,
here was
we
the
take
deal.
it over.
If you and me and
Think
Matt,
New Orleans.
If you and Matt and I are 3 schools, and we're the only 3 schools, and we are independent, as in the state of Louisiana, from all the other states. If we're independent from, say, theoretically, from all the other radio stations, if on the test I get an 80, you get a 70, Matt gets a 60,
Right.
but we grade on the curve and give me A, B, and C,
Sure.
does it really matter if we're the only ones? But you just see, I had not thought of that. So what's happening with schools being graded via standardized tests and being jacked up on the curve means that exactly what you just said could and might happen.
You bet it will.
So how many schools, I mean, they can tell right now, I would assume, that they would know across the state how many schools, if this ends, would be failing today that are not currently failing because of curve grading.
Well, they're worried about more schools will be getting D's and F's as the bar is raised.
That are right now are getting curved up to C.
Yes, and the problem with that is if you continue to get those D's and F's, you are in jeopardy of essentially losing your school to the state, which means the funding, etc.
Who let them do that to begin with? Who thought that was a good idea?
Well, it was kind of a way to bridge the gap of, all of a sudden saying, boom, you have to hit these performance scores. It was like grandfathering you into this, and now you're at the end of the grandfather's lifespan.
Yeah.
And it's time to put Grandpa to rest.
I think Dr. Lamar would talk to you. Think?
Yeah, I'm going to hook him up for tomorrow because they're having a big news conference in Baton Rouge today to release the scores. He's probably gotten them, but he's under an embargo.
739, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL traffic update coming up right now. And Senator Greg Tarver is next. But in the meantime, here's Ruben.
Just received reports of an accident on I-20 eastbound near Traffic Street. And we're looking at some traffic delays on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
It is 741. It's 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Don't forget the KEEL app's a free download. Sounds awesome. Presented by Office Furniture Source. State Senator Greg Tarver is here for a while. Mr. Greg, how are you this morning? Thank you for taking time for us.
Doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Well, we had State Attorney General Jeff Landry on not too long ago, and as you know, the State Attorney General has sort of inserted or attempted to insert his office into the Biomedical Research Foundation Willis Knighton antitrust lawsuit. He said he's doing it to protect the med school. What do you think about all that?
Well, I don't know the reason why he's involved in it, but he said publicly that he's trying to protect the med school. And I can tell you right now, the med school do need protecting because they're basically not getting the money that they should be receiving from BRL.
So much has now been released, some of the documents with regard to that antitrust lawsuit. I know you've probably sifted through some of it.
No, I haven't.
It's a lot of stuff, though.
I have better things to do.
What most concerns you? You sent out an email yesterday, and you still have a lot of concerns about BRF.
I have concerns about BRF because BRF is not being totally factual with the general public. When they said that they gave LSU $30 million, that is totally not factual. What they did, they gave LSU Baton Rouge $15.5 million. That is for lease payment and for equipment at the hospital. The buildings that is owned by LSU, they're paying for that. They only paid LSU Med School for approximately $14.2 million, a little bit more. That is what they're telling the general public, and they're trying to make the general public think they paid LSU $30 million. That's not true.
Mr. Gregg, sounds to me like this lawsuit, the document dump, all the look behind the curtain of the suit. It sounds to me like none of this has an iota of an effect, a whit of an effect on changing your opinion. You think it still is all on BRF's back?
Well, let me tell you this. When you don't pay, give you an example. Don't pay your house note, they will evict you. BRF have not paid their bills in 3 or 4 months. They was not evicted. They owe the state money, and they make them people believe the only money that they're getting is from the state. That's not true. They get private pay money, and they get Medicare money. That is approximately $400 million a year, and they're still not paying LSU Medical School. They owe LSU Medical School right now approximately $15 million.
So when defenders of BRF and defenders of the current system with BRF say, but they're getting markedly less money than the New Orleans school, they're not getting the money, they're making, what is it, like 3 cents on the dime or 3.5 cents on the dime compared to the New Orleans school. You disagree with that reasoning, with that logic, with that defense?
Please don't fall for that rope-a-dope. That's not factual. They included Monroe in their figures, but they don't want New Orleans, UMC in New Orleans, to pick up Toro and Jefferson. They have 3 campuses or 4 campuses in New Orleans. We have 2 in Louisiana, in North Louisiana. We have Shreveport and Monroe. They don't want to count Shreveport. They count Shreveport and Monroe in their figures, but they don't want New Orleans to count their partners in their figures. And so it distort the figures. Now, you know and I know it's more people being served in the New Orleans area than being served in the Shreveport area.
Let me ask you this. Some of the documents have some strong words against Willis Knighton, saying that Willis Knighton has been trying to interfere, and one is to harm the partnerships for BRF with Ochsner and Christus Health. Another says the governor may be involved in trying to, quote, accelerate the demise of BRF. Is this coming from the governor? Do you feel like the governor wants BRF out as well?
Well, let me say this to you. I know the governor have said that he wanted Ochsner in and BRF out because they're not doing a job. But, you know, he has relationships over BRF. I don't really know. I think the best thing to do is to let LSU, you stop all this argument, and let LSU Medical School take over the hospital again, and you won't have these problems. I don't know anything about the lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an undertaker. But I can tell you that BRF is not paying the debt to LSU Med School.
Mr. Gregg, this all goes back, and we've talked about this before, this all goes back to the privatization plan of the charity hospital system in the state by Governor Jindal. There are those that say it was a horrible idea, but there are those who say it's not a bad plan, just poorly implemented. If you could push the button, if it were King Gregg of the hospital system, what do you think would work best? What suggestions would you make to solve this whole monetary crisis?
I would bring the hospital back to LSU Med School. That's number one. Then the problem up here would be solved like it was at first. LSU Med School at first made money and was sending money to the state. All of a sudden, they're losing money, and they're depending on the state. If you put these entities back together, you will not have any more problems. You will not have any arguments, anything like that.
Mr. Gregg, there are folks around here, and I guess elsewhere, who would say that Dr. Ghali, chancellor at the med school, is they've come out and say it on our radio station, that he is a tool, a tentacle of Willis Knighton. What do you think about that?
Let me say this to you. The man is doing the best job he can do. He's working hard. He's trying to put the necessary changes and update the LSU med school. He's doing a very, very good job. And if he wasn't doing a good job, I would be after him. He's doing a super job at LSU med school.
So once again, King Greg would say, let's keep Dr. Ghali. I like what he's done.
Yes.
Greg, we're talking to Greg Tarver, state senator. I have a close friend, actually two people, who've spent some time at University Health over the past couple of weeks, and it's been a nightmare in both cases. Is the quality of service hurting now as a result of this management agreement?
Well, let me say this to you. CMS rated them as a 1-star, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody rated them F. The people who look at the hospital and rate the hospital are the better people to make the decision what type of service that they have, because they go into the hospital to define each area. I'm here to tell you, I go to University Health myself. It is a mess. You take longer to be served, and you're not getting the best care because they don't have the supplies necessary.
So as long as this lawsuit, as long as it drags out, you think that the longer it goes on, the more the med school, the more the hospital will be damaged?
The med school will be damaged completely because they're in their reserve right now. Once you drop below $50 million, the credit agencies start looking at you, and they're getting ready to drop below $50 million. We need to do something to stabilize this, and the only way that you really can stabilize this is take LSU Med School, give them the hospital back. If you put it in a nonprofit and let LSU Med School run it, it would be better for North Louisiana, and we will not be having these conversations anymore.
State Senator Greg Tarver, thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
749, it's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, AccuWeather.com. Forecast for today, kind of cloudy and humid again. 75, cooler tonight, right now 66. Before 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Sports.
Trying to interfere. Is this coming from the governor? Do you?
I know the governor have said that he wanted Oceaners in and BRF out because they're not doing a job. But, you know, he has relationships over BRF. I don't really know. I think the best thing to do is to let LSU and you stop I know the governor have said that he wanted Oceans in and BRF out because they're not doing their job. But you know, I think the best thing to do is to let LSU and stop all this argument. I think the best thing to do is to let LSU and stop all this argument and let LSU medical school take over the hospital again, and you won't have these problems. Hospital back to LSU Med School. I will bring the hospital back to LSU Med School. That's number one. Then the problem up here will be solved like it was at first. LSU Med School at first made money and was sending money to the state. All of a sudden, they're losing money, and they're depending on the state. If you put these back...
And Hustler Club have been mentioned in the same sentence. 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, but at KEELnews.com is a listener poll about the Hustler Club billboards that are up around town and the petition that has been started by the Giddings woman to have them removed. So at KEELnews.com, what's the latest vote?
65% say yes, the billboard should come down. 23% say no, and 11% say I don't care.
Let me see if I have a second, because the Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. And I want to dig up a couple here real quick of texts we have gotten from listeners pertaining to that specific topic. I bet not many men signed that petition. Never seen a petition against a billboard with male strippers. One of the points that Matthew had made.
Yeah.
Here's another. Yes, it should be removed. Yes, it should be removed. And taken straight to my house and hung in the man cave. P.S. Love you guys. Signed the guy that cut off his brother's toes.
Oh, wow, Lord.
Great. Hannibal Lecter's listening.
Oh, God.
And on from the other side of the coin, I think they should take the billboard down. Given that Erin works with these women, she will confirm that this industry is a driving force behind human trafficking. These billboards are welcoming these types of organizations to come set up shop in our city.
The Keel Cash word of the day today is money. Log on to KEELnews.com. You could win 5 Gs.
7:57. Here's Hannity, and he's on Keel.
On the right side.
This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
So on Sunday, in what can only be described as a pure act of evil, you have a deranged gunman opening fire at a church service at First Baptist in Sutherland Springs, Texas, killing at least 26, wounding another 20. Now, in the midst of this tragedy, two heroes emerged. Local plumber Stephen Williford heard the shots coming from the church, grabbed his gun, and shot the attacker, left him wounded. And as the attacker got into his car, Williford ran into a fellow resident, Johnny Langerdorf, and they explained what had happened at the church, and he asked for help tracking down the shooter. The two men go at 95 miles per hour in a high-speed car chase, ended up with the attacker losing control of the vehicle. Now, because of these local heroes, well, many people could have been saved. Their lives could have been saved. And yes, they were armed.
From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
You know, business travel is a game of wins and losses. An open seat next to you on the plane, that's a huge win. A reclining seat in front of you, well, that's a loss. Buying your business trip at Upside.com, well, that's not just a win, it's a triple win. Upside has the absolute best prices for flights, hotels, and rental cars. Now, that's win number one. Win number two is how Upside rewards you with a gift card to places like Amazon.com every single time you book a business trip. And the third win is their amazing 6-star treatment when you talk to Upside Navigators. That's their customer service specialist. Now, these navigators are instantly accessible 24/7 on the Upside app, and they even reach out so you can avoid a problem before it even happens. I'm going to help you out right now. Just go to upside.com/Hannity. You'll get a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com. That's upside.com/Hannity for a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com just for buying your next business trip at Upside.com. Upside.com. You deserve a better business trip.
Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
Looking right now at some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up all the way to Airline Drive right now. And we have some traffic delays on North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today. Not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler. Low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk.
With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL. Shreveport.
Good morning, 3 past 8. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Erin, local news. She's getting ready now.
Guess what? Big news. The Pelicans are out. We'll have an update on that. Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. And a billboard in our city is a little too risque. That's what one mom says.
Still going to talk about the Texas shooting a little bit. I've got a headline here if you haven't heard it. Air Force didn't report Texas shooter's domestic violence conviction, allowing him to buy guns. And you got something else? Bishop
Yes.
Larry Brandon, what's that about?
He's going to join us talking about having armed people in churches.
Plus, Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up this hour right here on Keel.
The power of information. Keel News now.
The Pelicans bail on Shreveport. Matt Parker with the story.
Greg Bensel, VP of Communications for the New Orleans Pelicans, has announced that the organization is no longer interested in bringing their G League team to Shreveport. In a statement, Bensel said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to other cities." Many sources said that Shreveport was the leading candidate to get the franchise, but citizens in the city council weren't convinced Shreveport should invest $27 million in an arena for the team. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
A Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. James Durham arrested in Houston and returned to Bossier Parish on the charges of molestation and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Durham's accused of inappropriate contact with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old girl. He's being held on a $300,000 bond. A mother starts a petition to get rid of a strip club billboard. Stephanie Giddens has started her online petition to have a billboard advertising adult film actress Rachel Starr's appearance at the Hustler Club removed. So far, more than 5,000 people have signed that petition. Giddens says the billboard shows Starr suggestively licking cake from her finger, and the image, she says, is inappropriate for children. President Trump says stricter gun control measures might have led to additional casualties during a mass shooting at a South Texas church. Meantime, former State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed in Louisiana to let people carry weapons in church under certain circumstances. Usually churches are gun-free zones.
A gun-free zone is honored by people who honor the law. But if you have an issue, maybe some type of mental disturbance or some type of grudge or whatever, you don't follow that rule.
Burns says the priest or minister would have to give approval, then the person has to go through special training. The State Department of Education releases the annual school performance scores today, and this is the last time schools will be graded on a curve. President for the Council for a Better Louisiana, Barry Irwin, says it's time to go back to the system where grades really give a true reflection of the school's performance. He says the grading scale hasn't been as accurate over the last few years.
Because we've been going through a lot of things in our public education system with changing standards and changing tests, we kind of put a freeze on some of the changes that were taking place in letter grade.
A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Dr. Jeff Sato from LSUS is concerned with Louisiana's ever-growing problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. Tammy Lair of Minden has died in an early morning rollover on I-20. Troopers say Lair lost control of her pickup truck around 4 a.m. Monday morning and overturned on I-20 just west of Highway 371. A Louisiana homeowner who's accused of arming himself and chasing down high school students who were toilet papering homes has now been arrested in Mandeville. LSU football head coach Ed Orgeron says quarterback Danny Etling will remain the starting QB. The coach says despite some missed opportunities in the passing game against Alabama, Etling is the better option. In the years past, LSU did not play well after Alabama. Orgeron expects his team will bounce back and give a great performance against Arkansas.
But I think this year is a little bit different because our guys are feeling good about themselves right now, although they lost. They're seeing we're building a championship team. I think they're hungry. I think they'll be hungry to go out to practice, and we're playing at home.
And it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
It is 10 past 8 o'clock. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on East Berkcoons Industrial Loop near Fern Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you have anything to report to us, please let us know at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Not as warm today. Clouds, some sun, and a stray shower. High 75. Cooler with plenty of clouds tonight. Low 53. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Don't forget, KEEL app, awesome, presented by Office Furniture Source, a free download. A gentleman we have not spoken with in a while, much to our dismay, from Shreveport's Praise Temple. Bishop Larry Brandon is here. Mr. Larry, how are you today? Thank you for taking time for us.
Well, good morning, Robert. I appreciate you, and I certainly miss you and Erin, Matt. I miss the whole team there. We just been on the road a lot, but I'm home for a while, and I am well.
I want to start with something really, in fact, the whole source of our conversation this morning is going to be very serious. In the wake of the shooting Sunday in Texas, you are a minister, a healer, a man of God. When somebody in your congregation talks to you this week, and I'm sure they already have, and they look you in the eye and they say, how could God allow this to happen? What do you say to them?
Well, yeah, and I've been confronted with that for many, many years now. I remember once upon a time in my home church, we could leave the doors open. Anyone can come in at any time, pray, meditate, and whatever. But as I've mentioned before, if we don't tie everything down, they'll steal it out of the parking lot, unfortunately. And that's what we have evolved into. And I would say to them, especially in light of the recent tragedy, that, the question is often asked in various ways. Why do bad things happen to good people? Well, first of all, as I often share, is evil is evil, good is good. God is good, the devil is evil. The devil can set the stage, but it's up to us as free moral agents if we're going to act on the stage or not. And so there are those who choose to be evil, and there are those who choose to be good. It's a choice. And then there are those who have mental illnesses, and that's something that our nation and our state and our local community, we need to step up to the plate and to help our fellow citizens who are challenged with various mental diseases and so forth. But I want to remind everyone that God is good. This is not God and the act of God. It's just the act of free moral agents who are evil.
I'm glad you brought that up because we're so quick after these tragedies, Larry, to jump to talk about gun control, but we don't talk about we need more help for mental ill folks.
Absolutely. And first of all, I understand what they're saying about gun control, and I understand both sides. However, the weapon, the gun, can become a friend or a foe. Guns for hunting or guns for hurting. And it depends on the individual that's carrying the gun. So we need to really look at the individual and just stop focusing on weapons. And we can have the gun controls all day long, but it won't. We won't be able to keep them out of the hands of evil people, criminals, and so forth.
We have a law in Louisiana that allows guns in churches if the pastor approves and the person gets training. Do you have this program in place at your church? Can you explain what you do at Praise Temple?
Well, at Praise Temple, my responsibility as a shepherd is to protect the sheep. And like I said, when I began pastoring an organized Praise Temple, as the Lord led 25 years ago, we never thought of, weapons and security and what have you. Just people loving God and worshiping God in a safe environment. But since we have people that are evil, and of course, Judgment Day is coming, this is a clear indication of it. What we have a team that's in place. We have those individuals trained. I'm grateful for Cattle Parish. Sheriff's Department come and train many of our team members, and we have great law enforcement here.
And they're actually armed? They're armed, Larry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they have concealed carry permits. They're trained. And again, I frown upon and I ask those who are not trained and don't have the proper license, don't bring your weapons. And especially if you're not on the team, you don't need to bring your weapons. We're there to support, and we're there to help. But training is key. And again, we rely on our local law enforcement first. And I think the purpose of our cameras and all is to act as a deterrent, because we really don't want to intervene. We want to act as a deterrent. We want to prevent. We're taking preventive measures. We want someone to think not twice, but we want them to think 4 or 5 times before they begin to act evil or to try to create a violent situation.
Larry, if you could, when you were describing the security at your church, at your place of worship, if you could have seen the look on Erin's face, the hurt and the dismay.
I'm almost in tears thinking we have to have people with guns in our churches.
And yet, we heard from so many churches yesterday of all faiths, of all denominations, who in fact are doing, have implemented the same security measures that you have at your place.
Absolutely, and it's horrible. I'm hurt by it. It's really hurtful to think we have to carry guns in church, a place of refuge, a house of refuge where we're speaking life and not death. And so, but we have to protect ourselves from those who are evil, and that's all through Scripture. The children of Israel had an army to protect the temple and so forth. It's horrible that it happened, but something has to be done, and I just believe that we all should be good neighbors. We're better together. So as community members, we need to work with our politicians, our public servants, our churches, our nonprofit, non-governmental organizations, and so forth, all come together, and let's just stop talking, but let's actually do something. And I just don't like to attend meetings after meeting to meet about the next meeting. We really need to do something to meet needs across our world, our country, especially in our area.
Bishop Larry Brandon, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's sad that we have to talk under these circumstances.
Yeah, we're praying for the family. My heart really goes out for all families who have been challenged by violence. And we're definitely praying for the church family there. It's just so hurtful. And we're praying for protection and peace here in our area. And thank you, Robert. Thank you, Erin, for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
19 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben, traffic update.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on East Burke-Coons Industrial Loop near Fern Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you have anything to report to us, please let us know at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning, 22 past 8 o'clock, KEEL Sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. LSU Shreveport led wire to wire in a 102-80 win over top-ranked Texas Wesleyan last night in Fort Worth. Senior Stevie Clark had a career-high 38 points to lead the local crew past the defending NAIA champs. Kyle Blankenship's team improved to 2-0 with the win. It was an exhibition to raise money for Hurricane Harvey victims, but it sure seemed real to former Bossier Bearcat Jalen West. In his 7th year of eligibility after knee injuries eliminated the past 2 years of play, West led Northwestern State with 20 points in a 92-85 win over Grambling State at Grambling. Fellow Bossier alum Devontae Hall drained a 3 with just about 2 minutes left to open a 4-point lead, and the Demons held on. Northwestern State opens the regular season on Friday in Austin against Shaka Smart's Texas Longhorns. Detroit had little trouble dispatching Green Bay last night in Monday Night Football, 30-17. Matthew Stafford led the Lions with 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. By the way, he now has 200 career passing touchdowns, the 4th youngest in NFL history to reach that milestone. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Twenty-five past 8, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. So the announcement has been made. It is now official that Danny Etling will once again be at the helm, to use the sports cliche.
Yeah.
He will be guiding the LSU Tigers this weekend against Arkansas. If there were ever a game, well, you tell me, what do you think about that? What did you think about Etling's performance as a if you were the coach, and God knows sometimes you think you are,
Some days I think I should be.
What is your assessment? I'd buy you out. What is your assessment of the LSU quarterback situation?
He is a better quarterback than you're giving him credit for. I think Parkey's right about this. I think, Miles Brennan is not ready for prime time. Not yet. But you're missing the whole point of this whole LSU story today. True, deep down, bleed purple and gold people today are not talking about Danny Etling. That is not what they're talking about
What
today.
is the topic of discussion?
The 11 a.m. damn kickoff. How do you drink beer at 9 a.m.?
Hadn't stopped you
Get
before.
ready for Tiger Stadium. People
Sausage
are
balls.
torqued
Low
about
carb.
this 11 a.m. kickoff. Baton Rouge is in an uproar.
You know what? If you were a little better team, then maybe you'd get a little more.
11 a.m.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Come on.
Do you think the LSU-Alabama game was the big highlighted Saturday night game this past weekend because of LSU?
No.
Or because of Alabama?
Come on, we know.
You've got LSU
Yeah.
in the throes of mediocrity, at least in the minds of LSU fans, and you've got Arkansas, who's basically this year at least horrible.
Yeah.
So if they're
But you mean this past Saturday, we had a couple of good games at 11. I think the Penn State game was at 11. There was a couple of really good games.
Don't you understand why LSU is the 11 a.m. game?
Of course I
do. You, in your heart, understand?
We don't like playing day games, much less before noon
Then
games.
play better.
In Tiger Stadium.
Then play better.
You want to be out there and have your boudin and your brewski.
Then change quarterbacks.
Well, you just have to have boudin for breakfast and brewskis for breakfast.
So back to Etling. You think that
he's the best you got.
Now,
he's the best you got.
You see, I'm not sure this is a contradiction, but I do want you to clarify.
Okay.
You said earlier in the segment, he's better than people think. And then you just said he's the best you got.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a little contradiction there?
There is a little contradiction there, and I understand that. But if you look back at the Alabama tape and the game, he was not the sole reason. There were some plays that should have been made by some LSU Tigers. There were some special teams bungles. There was a Darius Geis awful loss of the ball, an interception, or a snatch away from you. I don't know what you would call it. There were some plays that shouldn't have happened, and they were not all Edling's fault. He made some good passes. He made some errant passes. I get that.
I'm going to say this to you guys, and you both yelled at me last hour when I said it off the radio. If I'm Arkansas, I blitz on every play.
Mm-hmm.
I do a 7 or 8 or 9 man front. I blitz everybody. I make him throw the ball 20 yards downfield to beat me.
Yeah.
And I'm just...
Arkansas will get killed if they try that. And I'm just going to tell you, after watching this weekend's games very closely, Alabama's going to get dusted by Georgia. Georgia, if they're not number one tonight, I'll be shocked. They were number one in the first poll. I expect them to stay there. I think they are a superior team, head to toe.
If you want to make a bet on that, I know a guy. 29 past 8, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Erin has local news up next. Right now, traffic time. Ruben's ready.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Centenary Avenue and Olive Street. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today. Not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler. Low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
For the second night in a row, community members gathering in Sutherland Springs, Texas to honor the victims of Sunday's church shooting.
We pray healing in the name of Jesus. We pray comfort in the name of Jesus.
Several victims still critical. At least 26 people are dead. Meantime, former State Representative Henry Burns says he was able to get a bill passed in Louisiana to let some people carry guns in churches.
We have allowed churches to provide security programs where they have parishioners or members of the congregation who go out and train and learn how to safely guard, the congregation.
The pastor of the church does have to sign off on the plan before it's allowed. The Pelicans bail out on Shreveport. Greg Benson, the VP of Communications for the Pelicans, has announced the organization is no longer interested in bringing their minor league club to town. In a statement, Benson said, quote, "We have moved on and are talking to other cities." A Houghton man arrested for inappropriate contact with juveniles. Matt Parker has that.
James Durham has been arrested in Houston, Texas, and returned to Bossier Parish on the charge of molestation and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Durham is accused of inappropriate contact with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old girl. He is being held on a $300,000 bond. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
A mother starts a petition to remove a strip club billboard. Stephanie Giddens has started her online petition to have a billboard advertising an adult film actress appearance at the Hustler Club removed. So far, about 5,000 people have signed the petition. Giddens says the billboard shows the woman suggestively licking cake from her finger, and the image, she says, is inappropriate for children. A local professor says we need to fix Louisiana's STD problem. Dr. Jeffrey Sato from LSUS is concerned with our ever-growing problem. According to the CDC, Louisiana has some of the highest rates of infection for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. The state also near the top in HIV numbers. Sato says the rise in STD rates is not an economic issue or race issue as much as a moral one. Tammy Lair of Minden has died in an early morning rollover wreck on I-20. Troopers say Lair lost control of her pickup around 4 a.m. Monday and overturned on the interstate just west of Highway 371. Lair was not wearing a seatbelt and died at the scene. Troopers are still investigating. The State Department of Education releases the annual school performance scores today, and this is the last time schools will be graded on a curve. President for the Council for a Better Louisiana, Barry Irwin, says with the new grading system, students are going to have to move up to higher proficiency levels to keep the scores that they were getting before.
Before we said basic was okay. That was average. That was at grade level. Now we're saying basic is really not at grade level because it's not. And because it's not, we're not going to give you as many points as we did before.
The Energy Information Administration says October gas consumption the highest in month-to-month numbers since '06, which is why there's been a slight increase in prices. AAA fuel analyst Don Redmond believes the warm fall has led to more people driving, increasing the demand for fuel.
Also has some of those related activities that are actually still related to the storms, where people are traveling back and forth, helping out with the recovery in Florida and Texas.
Redmond says Louisiana prices are the 6th lowest in the nation, with an average of $2.26 a gallon. President Trump says North Korea will be front and center in his talks with South Korea's leader. Trump is meeting with the South Korean president at Blue House today. On North Korea, Mr. Trump says hopefully something's going to be very successfully worked out on that. LSU coach Ed Orgeron says quarterback Danny Etling will remain the starter. Coach O says despite some missed opportunities in the passing game against Alabama, Etling is the better option over freshman Miles Brennan to achieve a 10-win season.
Miles would have to beat Danny out on a play-by-play basis in practice. He'd have to play better than he would in a game. He hasn't done that yet. I would not give Miles a starting quarterback job just to get ready for next year. We got a lot of things to play for. We're thinking of one game at a time, and we want to have a very good year. For right now, Danny's our quarterback.
The next up for the Tigers, Arkansas at home in Baton Rouge, 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
This is one of those stories, 101.7. Well, you're doing ooh face, but we'll get to it in a minute. Is it a sports story?
Yeah.
Can you do it in 2 sentences?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Marshawn Lynch dropped an F-bomb on live TV. He thought he was FaceTiming?
I don't know.
Yow.
I can't believe they're not. Was it like during a game? Was it in an interview? What was this?
It's during an interview.
7-second delay.
Whew. I don't think he was on the NFL Network. They must not have had one. I don't know.
Shockbuster button.
Man.
Jack Spring Electric. Where are you when you need them? Not on the. Well, they're too busy advertising with us. They're supporting this show.
Yeah.
As opposed to Rich Eisen and those clowns on that tape. Tomorrow morning. Now, explain to me. The information comes out today. The information is out about the is it school regrading tomorrow morning at 7:10. DeSoto Parish School Superintendent Cade Brumley.
Yep, he's going to join us on the phone tomorrow.
And then at 8:10, another man of letters,
Another
Dr.
super.
Huh?
Another super.
Exactly. The Caddo Parish guy.
Dr. Lamar Gorey is going to join us tomorrow. The annual school performance scores are coming out today. 11 a.m. They're having this big unveiling party in Baton Rouge.
Basically, everybody already knows.
Well, not everybody.
What was the term you used? It's embargoed.
Yeah, the superintendents have been given the information. It's embargoed, where we can't release it until 11.
Explain to folks why this previous habit, this previous policy of grading on the curve for the standardized tests, why it matters.
This is going to be the last set of scores where we will be graded on a curve. We're going to go back to the system where grades give a true reflection of a school's performance. And there's a lot of concern that failing schools or D-scored schools may now be failing and would be in jeopardy of being taken over by the state.
Has the curve grading been consistent, i.e., is there a specific scale on which they grade on the curve, i.e., if you make a 75, you get 10 points. If you make an 85, you get 10 points. Or
for the most part, yes, statewide.
Or does it vary year to year? I wouldn't know.
For the most part, it's been fairly stable. So essentially, it's going to move us into a better comparison with other states.
So basically, when this information curve graded comes out tomorrow, and these are questions we can ask Doctors Brumley and
Gorey.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Lamar. I know you're listening. The question we can ask them, therefore, is based on grading on the curve. And if the curve grading is consistent, you'll know from this whether you would have been a failure or not. You would have known what your true grade would be. Is that a legit question?
I'm not sure. I mean, right now you're not going to know if you're going to fail, but
I mean, if
you
you know,
still have another year to make your improvements.
The point I'm making is if you've got a C, if you've got a 80, and you know you got X number of points, then you know what you really got. You see what I'm saying?
You probably do.
So all the schools that are borderline, if they know they've got...
they know what they have to do to pick it up.
If they know they got 5 points, 10 points, 15 points, whatever it happens to be, then those principals and the superintendents of those districts know, wait a second, if it weren't for the curve, I've only got one failing school now, but if it weren't for the curve, I'd have 4.
Right.
So, Dr.
And there are several in Caddo Parish that are in jeopardy, and I mean, we're going to talk... He's going to have a heart-to-heart with us.
So Brumley at 7:10 from DeSoto, and Gorey from Caddo at 8:10, and it'll be an interesting day to say the least.
You bet.
8:39, just changed, 8:40, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Centenary Avenue and Olive Street, and we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687 Road.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
It's 8:42. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The KEEL app's a free download. Office Furniture Source is
Please
awesome.
don't ever do that again.
I'm sorry, I slipped. We had Bishop Larry Brandon from Shreveport's Praise Temple on earlier this hour, and he came right out and said, "Yeah, I got guys with guns in my church."
Mm-hmm.
And not that
makes me so sad.
Not that Bishop Larry is a man who swears, but there was a certain, when you said, "Do you have guys with guns in your church?" He practically said, "You damn right I got a guy." Yeah.
Robert, what have we come to where we have to have guys with guns in our churches?
If there had been guys with guns in churches in Sutherland Springs, there might be 25 people, 26 people still living. You heard yet the number of texts we got yesterday. I was stunned. The number of emails, the number of texts from church-related people around the area, people in the know who said, "Yeah, there's guns in our churches." Church X, Y, or Z. Yeah, there's not a service we have. There's not a mass we have where there's not somebody armed and trained.
That's so sad
to handle an active shooter scenario. Now, the question was asked over and over again, not only all day Sunday, all day yesterday, how did this guy get a gun? I mean,
when you texted me that last night, I was like, ooh, wow.
When you saw the spotty legal history of Devin Kelly, you thought, he cracked his child's skull.
Yeah. 11-month-old.
And
how do you do that?
How did this guy how did this guy get a gun? How could this have fallen through the cracks? We need stricter gun control laws. Air Force did not report Texas shooter's domestic violence conviction to federal database, allowing him to buy guns in Texas. The United States Air Force did not report Texas shooter Devin Kelly's domestic violence conviction to the FBI, even though it was required to do so by the Pentagon, leaving the door open for Kelly to buy weapons. That report out yesterday. Kelly's conviction was not submitted to the FBI's Criminal Justice Investigation Services Division for inclusion in the National Criminal Information Center database used to conduct background checks on would-be gun purchasers. That according from official Air Force spokespeople. Holloman Air Force Base, Office of Special Investigations, the base where Kelly was stationed when he assaulted his wife, when he assaulted his child, his 11-month-old, cracked the child's skull. Holloman Air Force Base, supposed to enter the information into the database, according to a statement released Monday by the Air Force. Kelly, who killed 26 people when he opened fire at a church in Sutherland Springs on Sunday, received a bad conduct discharge from the military in 2014 after being court-martialed in 2012 for assaulting his wife and fracturing his stepson's skull on purpose. Convicted of 2 charges of domestic assault, served 12 months in confinement at the Naval Consolidated Brig in California, pardon me, and was later given a bad conduct discharge.
You know what I think about when I hear about that the Air Force did not send the information up? I think whoever the person was that's responsible for that, for doing that, God bless them, because they're going to have this on their conscience forever. Wait, and then B, I think they came forward and told us the truth instead of some BS about, oh, blah, 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 blah. They came out and said, we didn't do it. We failed to do it. That's not like our government in the past.
It'll be interesting.
Usually it's like, oh, let's cover this up.
It'll be interesting to know if they ever give details, i.e., how many emails do you send in a year?
Oh, thousands.
Okay, how many emails do you think the Air Force sends in a year?
Oh, millions.
How many emails of your thousands, something happens, there's a glitch, a hang-up, a system is down somewhere?
No, they're not doing that. They're not saying, they're saying we didn't do it. We failed to do it. I'm thrilled that they're saying that, because usually they'll say, "Oh, my email got stuck in the outbox," or "I didn't get in the mail right," or whatever. No, they're saying we screwed up.
So you see the Air Force taking the hit, saying,
I like that. I really like that. Take the hit. Now, you know, whoever is the one person who's supposed to do it is going to forever be changed. But you're taking the hit. We screwed up. We didn't do what we were supposed to do.
Air Force didn't report Texas shooter's domestic violence conviction to federal database, allowing him to buy guns in Texas. 848, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Let's see. Your Money. Your Money Now is coming up. And then the American Ground Morning Minute. That is on the way, and it's here on Keel.
The intersection of Glenwood Avenue and East 70th Street is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today. Not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Right now, it's 65 degrees at Keel.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Since President Obama took office in 2009, deadly church violence has increased almost 300% over the previous decade. It's Nazis, leftists, atheists, and Islamists who have been doing the killing. Christians are generally the ones being killed.
The one thing that all these mass shooters have in common is that they do not believe in the idea of America. They do not believe that we are all created equal. They do not believe that everyone has a right to life. If they did, they never would have pulled the trigger.
Look, as John Adams put it, our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. And Sunday was another sad example.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Hold your horses, collectively speaking. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. One more quick segment here. Hold on. This is awesome. We have gotten some amazing texts this morning via the Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. Erin, are you listening now?
I'm listening.
Give me your undivided attention.
All right.
Erin, RJW is desperately hanging on to his lost youth and failing credibility. He'll never Ready?
I'm ready.
He'll never understand the intellectual LSU fan, which is epitomized by you, Ms. McCarty.
I love these people. This is awesome.
And then it just a big old yep and a thumb up.
Thank you. That's sweet.
I thought so.
Oh.
The poll online about the Hustler Club billboard, well, both of them actually at KeelNews.com. Can you give us an update? Because you still have a chance to vote. If you would be so kind, headline, text, and choices.
Do you think this billboard should be removed? It's the billboard for the Hustler Club. It features a woman who's licking her finger.
Adult actress Rachel Starr.
Yeah, very provocatively. And a local mom wants the billboard down. She's gotten about 6,000 signatures on her change.org petition. You can see all the details at KeelNews.com. So we ask, do you think this billboard should be removed? 64% of you so far say yes, 26% no, and another 8% don't care.
You can vote at the website at KeelNews.com from the Shreveport Security Systems text line. I bet not many men signed the petition. Never seen a petition against a billboard with male strippers either. That was a point that Matt had made.
One of them.
Two wrongs don't make a right. I think my nanny told me that right before hitting me with the switch. Yes. Oh, here we go. Yes, it should be removed and taken straight to my house and hung in my man cave. Signed, love you guys, the guy that cut his brother's toes off. Thank you, Hannibal Lecter. If you've been with the show for a long time, you know the guy. He was in a riding mower when he was a teenager, and he accidentally ran over his brother's foot. That's what my brother said, too. Yes, it should be removed. Got that one already. On a serious note, I think they should take the sign down. Given that Erin has worked with abused women, she would confirm that this industry, i.e. the porn industry, is a driving force behind human trafficking. These billboards are welcoming these types of organizations to set up shop in Shreveport. KeelNews.com. Update it. You can vote today. We'll update tomorrow morning. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Kim Commando.
Here are two very important things you need to know if you're buying a new iPhone 10. I'm Kim Commando with your Tuesday Consumer Tech Update. After only a few days of hands-on experience with the new iPhone 10, I can assure you that's an awesome piece of technology. The OLED screen is the most vivid ever. The entire phone is unbelievably thin and sleek. But thin is also Apple's Achilles heel. The front and back is made of glass. If you drop this phone, one side or the other will likely break. Apple charges $279 to replace the screen. If you break the phone's glass backing or any other part, the repair charge is $549. But this phone is the best one yet, just don't drop it. And now word has leaked out that Apple is already working on 2 new iPhones for next year. One, an updated iPhone 10, and an iPhone XL with a bigger screen and a stainless steel, not a glass case. Our tech news is updated all the time at news.komando.com. That's KOMANDO. If you have a small business, you know that customers are your lifeline. And keeping your ever-growing list of customer names, addresses, messages, and invoices organized can be a nightmare. So let me introduce you to Zoho and its amazing CRM tool. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. Imagine every customer detail, a complete history of every phone call, email, order, and proposal. Zoho can even tell you the best time to call or email. Turn cold leads into interested prospects and prospects into paying customers. Zoho automates follow-up emails and customer payment reminders. All of your contacts and leads in one place where you can keep track of the entire sales process, leaving you more time to run your business and close more deals. Start today. Visit ZohoCRM.com. That's ZohoCRM.com. Go now and get 10 users in your company free. That's ZohoCRM.com.
We have reports of a minor accident on 70th Street near Dixie Gardens Drive, and we have some traffic delays on North Hearn Avenue near North Market. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A stray shower today, not as warm with clouds, some sun, and a high of 75. Mostly cloudy and cooler, low 53 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending.